Hi, I'm Susan and welcome to Playlist, where we talk about what we've been playing recently. This episode features Scott.
Metal Gear Solid 5 is a fantastic game, which I have some issues with. But the actual game and some of the situations you can get into are almost the absolute peak of the series. It's an entirely new engine, and although mechanically there's some stuff taken from Metal Gear Solid 4, it's basically the engine that they debuted with Ground Zeroes. In Ground Zeroes, they did an excellent job of modernizing a lot of Metal Gear Solid's gameplay mechanics. So the controls are a lot slicker. It feels just a lot more modern and up to date. It was pretty harsh on the stealth front in Ground Zeroes, but that's fine because that prepares you for this. It's set in 1984, so that's 11 years before the rise of Outer Heaven, the rise of Big Boss's dream in Metal Gear 1, in Solid Snake's first mission. So we were like, okay, this has to tell the story. This has to tell the downfall of Big Boss. And in a huge roundabout way, having finished it now, it does. But man, as a long-time hardcore fan of the series, as you can probably tell from me talking about the chronology, I mean, this whole series is really messed up. Phantom Pain is effectively the antithesis of 4. 4 was Kojima at his most self-indulgent. It had, apart from some sections in Chapter 1 and 2, which were really good in terms of gameplay, it is just like this long, linear, cutscene-driven movie, practically. And I loved it for that. Like, it was just this massive... It's just absolutely nuts. Some of the things that happen in that could only happen in a video game series where this is, like, the last chapter. The hardcore fans were pretty accepting of that. Some people took some criticisms with its very end. And when I say the very end, Metal Gear Solid 4's ending is, like, an hour and a half. Like, literally an hour and a half.
Cutscene.
Yeah, yeah. No, I'm really not joking. It's like an hour and a half, and they're just adding on bits and bits. It's like Return of the King. But for people who could get on board with that, and that was mostly anybody still playing 4, I thought it was amazing. I have some minor issues with it, but compared to the issues I have story-wise with 5, I would probably say they're quite small.
So
Yeah.
5 in comparison to 4, you like it, don't like it, or...
So, as I was saying, 5 is an amazing game. You've got this... you've got these situations, these missions that you approach, and every time you approach them, you can do things pretty differently. You can go in stealthily, you can go in loud, but going in stealthily, you've got so many different options. Do you distract every individual guard? Do you, like, set off an explosive somewhere and draw them to it? There are layers of mechanics in MGS5 that all complement each other in amazing ways. The game thrives on that nonsense. So there's one of the big changes is the buddy system. You have a selection of buddies. But I'll mention the horse, who is called D-Horse.
Wait, D-Horse?
D-Horse. And the reason he's called D-Horse is because your organization are called the Diamond Dogs.
Oh, right. I thought... Oh, no, wait. It probably is a kind of... Knowing what I know about this game, is probably a kind of... Haha, we called it D-Horse, as in... D-Horse, as in the horse.
Yeah.
The
horse?
That horse.
D-Horse. You also have D-Dog.
Oh my god.
Who you can recover from an earlier mission, and it's actually, apparently I've been told it's possible to miss D-Dog. I don't know how you would, but it's pretty obvious when you run into him the first time in the open world. And you bring him back to base, and
it's got sunglasses and like a hip hop chain around him.
Not quite, but you can.
You might as well do.
You're getting close. Over the course of several missions, one of your employees back at base trains him up, and eventually you can take him with you. And as your bond level increases by taking him with you on missions, you can order your research and development department to create new gear for him, including a sneaking suit which has like a knife on his hip,
Oh my god.
and you can order him in the middle of battle to pull the knife out and stab guys. And his sneaking suit has like a visor that looks like sunglasses.
This is amazing.
So-
Can I just have this as a pet?
Yes. No, D-Dog is awesome.
So did you say you finished the game now?
I have finished the game. Well, because it has a mission-based structure. Apart from the introduction, you can watch every cutscene in the game, or almost every cutscene in the game, by just replaying the missions.
So you could just break out some popcorn and like.
Yeah, but you still have to play it, and also, I mean, there is an option in the main menu to clear your save, but the way the game structure is there's so much to unlock. There's so many weapons and equipment and items to develop. The game constantly keeps track of your completion percentage in the bottom left, like OCD sort of Assassin's Creed style. If you're trying to go for 100%, which is nuts for a Metal Gear Solid game because they've never worked like this before. It's always just a linear story and you get to the end. This is keeping track of which side ops you've completed, which are optional objectives, although there's a couple of side ops which are actually required to progress the story, so I don't know why they're called side ops in that case. And your main mission objectives.
So would you 100% the game then, or?
I'm really torn about this because, as I say,
I can feel the anguish in your voice.
oh, you have no idea, man. This is what you felt. This is undoubtedly some of the things you were probably feeling when you finished Mass Effect 3, when you finished Inquisition. These are some of the same things you'd be feeling with this game, basically. Because this is supposed to be the end.
Yeah.
But it's not.
Well, it may or may not be.
Oh, it may not. I mean, yeah, whatever Konami decides next.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure it will be reborn in pachinko form or something.
Oh, God. But I would say, here's the problem. I would absolutely say, in terms of story, MGS4 was way more of an ending than this was. All this is potentially done is, apart from adding one or two cool ideas to the timeline, which I really can't talk about here with its ending, it's added one or two cool ideas to the timeline, which I did like after I sat about and thought about them for a while. I was annoyed at first.
Like Star Child annoyed, or?
Yeah, yeah, it's that sort of thing. Good God. Some people are gonna just throw their controller away at the end of this. The ending is very divisive. Apart from that, I feel like everything it added, and I'm really hardcore about the storyline stuff, I feel like most of the stuff it added was unnecessary. In so many ways, it is a Metal Gear Solid game. And in so many other ways, it just doesn't feel like a Metal Gear Solid game. I don't know if it's the restraint, the quote-unquote restraint that Kojima has shown, or the darker tone that he was supposedly going for. And don't get me wrong, there are 2 or 3 incredible moments in this story-wise. But compared to your average Metal Gear Solid game, which I would say had like 7 or 8 or 9 incredible story moments, that's where this falls down. And my biggest overall criticism of this game, and I have lots of little ones, is that it feels unfinished. And man, there's some pacing issues in that second half of the game, and it's so disappointing. And when you finally do finish it, you get that controversial ending, which does admittedly have some cool points, but it's very clear that it's not fully finished. It's basically missing a final boss, for a start. I'm sorry to say that, but that's the truth, and that is for a Metal Gear Solid game. Even go back to the MSX ones.
Is that pretty unforgivable?
That's insulting. Between the soundtrack, between the lack of bosses, between the really wonky pacing in the second half, and between some story concerns. Ultimately, it's kind of a disappointment in that regard, and it's really difficult for me to say that because, again, the base gameplay loop is really good. And for most people, for the people who aren't as insane as me, they will like put this in their Game of the Year list high up, like if not their Game of the Year, probably. And I'm just like, yeah, it deserves to be on that list, but I'm just like, I don't know what's wrong with me. The self-indulgent mess that was MGS4 is more of an ending for the series for me. And it's really hard for me to... I don't know. I'm really torn.